gentlemen.
You're locked into JJ and Alex. With the insight and analysis on the teams you can't live without. Presented by G2G Bars. This is 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. He's Jeremiah Jensen. I'm Alex Curie. Thanks for being with us. Let me see here. Kicking off the hour, we got to get into this Utah-Arizona game from Saturday night. It was an absolute head-scratcher, and there were all sorts of things that you need to wonder about. The one that we don't really have that much control over, of course, is the Cam Rising health situation. And part of it is that I think that you're just so frustrated because you don't feel like you're getting the whole truth, which is what you felt like last year, right? So let's jump into the hour here. It's all brought to you by G2G Bars. All natural ingredients and no preservatives make the G2G Bar perfect for anybody listening to this program who wants a quick, tasty, nutritious, and protein-packed boost. Find them in the refrigerated section at Costco, Holiday Oil, Maverick, Associated Foods. All right, let's kick off the cut here. Let's get right into it here with Utah and their loss on Saturday night to the Arizona Wildcats.
It's time for the biggest story of the day. This is what made the cut with JJ and Alex on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right. And this portion of the program brought to you by Doug Smith Dealerships. Kia, Subaru, Chevy, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram. Visit the Doug Smith dealerships in American Fork and Spanish Fork. Great service starts with know-how, and nobody knows like Doug. As we watch this one go down, JJ, when Caleb Lohner caught his fourth catch of the year, third touchdown. Isn't that what the numbers are?
I think it's 3 catches, 3 touchdowns. Am I wrong?
I think he might have one extra. Either way, when he caught that easy-looking touchdown on that drive that made it 16-10, I don't know how much time was left on the clock exactly. I'm going to look at it. But everybody watching that game, including myself, thought, all right, now they're turning the corner here. The offense figured some things out. That score was so easy-looking, right? We looked at it and went, all right, that's what you're going to do the rest of the way.
Right.
And instead, Arizona locks down their defense. Isaac Wilson throws his second pick of the game. And then Noah Fafita goes down and puts the dagger in the Utes with that, I think it was a 44-yard touchdown throw to his tight end, Burnett, who had a heck of a night because on a night where they were keying on Tech McMillan so closely, Burnett was quietly just absolutely having a night. And more head-scratching than all of this, JJ, because the Cam Rising stuff, we have no idea what's going on. And I'm not going to try to guess either. All right? The finger thing, I don't think we know what's going on, and I don't even know if Utah knows what's going on, to be honest. Feels very, very much like last year. But what I do know is the thing that was the most glaringly weird about this game is that Utah was beaten by another defense in their own house.
They got whipped at the line of scrimmage.
Arizona seemed bigger. They played bigger. They got pressure to Isaac Wilson. None of those things, by the way, happened on the flip side. Noah Fafita was sacked 0 times on the night. Utah, Isaac Wilson was sacked 3 times. And I know that's not a lot. That's not a lot. And you could maybe say, well, it's Isaac Wilson. He's a freshman. He's trying to figure out the timing, blah, blah, blah. Some of it was just straight up guys getting whipped at the line. And so for Utah to lose that game, to only score 10 points at home, to lose by almost 2 touchdowns, to not do anything on defense, it seemed to be working. They were mixing up pressures. They were doing all sorts of very Morgan Scally things, and yet somehow Arizona was absolutely ready. They were game planned. That bye week worked for them. The loss to Kansas State, I think, lulled everybody into sleep on this Arizona team. And I have no idea what Utah is right now, because being defined by amazing defenses, great. You saw 2 weeks ago maybe one of the best performances against a Mike Gundy Oklahoma State team that we've ever seen on the defensive side of things, right? And then this week, I don't know what happened, but I will say this. there was way too much talk last week, on this show included, that was based around, well, they're going to run it up or not. The Utes, that is. Well, because they were disrespected last year. Watch. And, I mean, when Friday comes around, when Football Friday rolls around, and we all have our predictions in front of us from last week, every one of us I'm pretty sure we all put Utah winning big over Arizona. It was just a question about how much. No one bothered to wonder if Arizona actually was a pretty decent team, and BYU fans probably shaking in their dadgum Ugg boots that they're going to be that they might lose that game against Arizona in 2 weeks. I don't know why I gave them Ugg boots, but I thought it was
They're good enough for Tom Brady. They're good enough for BYU fans.
Got that New Zealand
whatever.
sheepskin on the inside. All right,
Gotta wear something.
But what I'm saying is, I was absolutely blown away by this game on Saturday. Like, I was waiting for this thing to turn around. I thought it was going to turn around. Isaac Wilson did something that he hadn't done in his previous starts, which is actually got worse in the second half. We saw a guy settle in these other games, figure some things out, listen to his coaches. Andy Ludwig gave him the keys to the car and said, "What do you want to run?" And what happened? Utah got into a spot where they turned the ball over late, and Kyle Whittingham said, "I am not doing this. Run the dang football. Just put it on the ground." And it's hard to play from behind, trying to get those types of results, and leaning on the kid too much. And if the rumors are true about whether or not he only got to practice first team reps Thursday or Friday forward, that's bad. That's bad, and I feel bad for the kid because he's been asked to do some really weird stuff this first year that was supposed to be a dream for this guy when he was first getting his first starts. Instead, it's just been this weird herky-jerky, are you starting, are you not starting? Maybe, yes, here, get first-team reps. No, take second-team reps. An absolute mess right now up on the hill if you're a Utah fan.
It was a night game, 8:30 start. Utah was the 10th-ranked team in the country. Arizona coming off a bad loss to Kansas State where they got absolutely embarrassed. Utah was supposed to be the bully on Saturday night. Utah was supposed to win with ease. We talked about Utah wanting to get retribution for the way they were disrespected.
It was about how much they were going to win
last year.
Yes.
Utah had every motivation, every reason to be their best on Saturday, and they stunk. Their coaching staff stunk, and the team stunk. And the fans sat there shocked. They weren't ready to play. Why? What was that? You look at Utah, and they weren't themselves. Who was the more physical football team? At Rice-Eccles Stadium, in the dark. Arizona?
Blackout game.
Are you kidding me?
10 points in a blackout game.
Arizona. Come on, man. Like, what happened? Every Utah fan deserves to be frustrated. And you could tell the frustration with the team. Mekhi Bernard was swearing in the post-game press conference. Kyle Whittingham, I haven't seen him that down in a while. Like, he was doing soul-searching during the press conference, talking about what they needed to do during the bye week, how hard they had to work. You know what? Good. Because this team wasn't ready, and they haven't been ready, to be quite honest. If we look back at the first 4 games of the season, you would see samples of what we saw come to fruition on Saturday night.
Right.
What happened at Oklahoma State in the last 5 minutes? You're up 21-3, and you let them back in the game? That was weak. What happened to Baylor when one player gets injured and everything shuts down? What happened at Utah State when you're down 14-3 to a team that got the doors blown off of them by Temple? Okay, there's been signs that this team wasn't what we thought they were. And it was exposed on Saturday night by a team that was prepared, motivated, and ready. They outcoached and outplayed Utah. You look at the quarterback line, and this is another difference. And I don't do this to be negative towards Isaac Wilson. I think he got put in a really, really bad spot on Saturday, and he's going to have to take the brunt of that. But Noah Fafita, 19 of 31, 197 yards.
Yep.
2 touchdowns, 1 interception, a QBR of 80.4. Utah asked Isaac to throw the ball 40 times. A true freshman in a big game in conference play, they asked him to throw the ball 40 times. He was 20-40 for 280 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, a QBR of 18.4.
Ooh.
But that's not all on him. Like, they asked him to they put him in a really tough spot. And it really started in the first quarter. I think that game was over in the first quarter because the mental toll it put on Utah to see themselves get stuffed on 2 drives. Like, if you can't score against Arizona in your own house in those situations, what's going through your mind at that point? And there was an arrogance, I believe, that we're going to go for it on 4th and 2, and we're just going to enforce our will on them. Well, you didn't. But that's where experience comes in. There's 2 areas. There's 2 people that are missing on this team right now that are really hurting Utah. The first one's obvious. It's Cam Rising, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
You don't have Cam. And I told you before, we talked about it with Sly on KSL Sports Live. We showed you last night what happened on that 4th down. They go for it. They had 14 personnel out there, and they try to run against a brick wall, and they slammed right into the wall. Because Arizona had 10 guys in the box. And you need to have somebody with experience at the quarterback position that can look and see what the personnel is there, check out of it, and change the play at the line of scrimmage, and have one of your tight ends go out in the flat and for a wide open touchdown pass. But Isaac just ran the play that they called him. And this is not Isaac's fault. Isaac's doing what he was told to do. Isaac, as a true freshman, is not in a position to check out of a play at the line of scrimmage in a big game. This is where the experience factor hurts you. And this is where the frustration I think fans have with Cam. It's like, this is a big game, and you're not playing because your finger doesn't feel quite right. Like, the fans are like, we need Cam. We need Cam. We were told this team was going to win the Big 12. Where is he? Where are you? And I understand the frustration. And I also understand that Cam's hurt. But are you hurt enough that you couldn't go out there and give an honest effort against Arizona? You're hurt that bad? Like, look at, did you watch that series Quarterback on Netflix?
Yes.
Okay, do you watch what Kirk Cousins had to go through each and every week just to play a football game?
He was. I learned a lot about Kirk Cousins in that show.
We all did. And we learned a lot about the quarterback position, the toll it takes physically, the things you have to do to get ready to play a football game.
The mental prep is insane. The amount of preparation has to be done in these things. These guys are, they're borderline sports, they're football geniuses,
Right.
Be able to figure it out. But if you don't know if you're going to be playing,
it's not fair. It was not fair for Isaac, and it's fair at this point to question what's going on with Cam. I don't know. I'm not going to go on radio and say I know anything. I don't know anything, but it just doesn't feel square, right? And I think people are fair to start questioning what's going on.
Yeah.
Like, you're not going to play in a big game like this because why? So that doesn't sit well.
Yeah. The term I am so sick of this. I am so sick of this Cam Rising situation. I can't tell you how many times I've heard that in the last 2 weeks.
From people that actually
people who are Utah fans, are season ticket holders, and they're sitting there going,
people that are actually inside the program.
And people inside the program. I'm so annoyed by this. I just can't. This is so bad. This is so annoying to go through. And you're going, yeah, but somebody's injured. Steve Bartle came on our show last week, and he goes, look, what are you going to do? Cam's injured. And when a guy's injured, you can't just say, stop being injured, kid. The problem is
that's why I'm trying to be fair to Cam.
Trying to understand. We got to understand. You got to understand what's going on.
And how serious of an injury is it? Because I've seen guys go out there and play with worse injuries.
Right.
So it's unfair what you're doing to Cam. It's unfair what you're doing to Isaac. And I think it's causing some issues. Another thing that Utah's dealing with is they're missing their quarterback on defense. Karene Reed has not played since early in the Baylor game, and it showed. Connor O'Toole is not out there getting after the quarterback.
Yeah.
And it showed. They're banged up a little bit. They're missing some key pieces, and it showed on Friday night. And the team that we saw on Friday night is not a top 10 team. That's not even a top 20 team, in my opinion. And they didn't look like it, and they didn't play like it. And what they have to do in this bye week is go back to the drawing board and figure out who they are and who they're going to be for the rest of the season. That includes coaches. They got to decide what are we going to be and what we want to do this year. Because right now, this is not who we thought we were going to be. This is not who fans and the media and everybody else thought we were going to be. Who are we? And how are we going to respond to this? Because it's not too late to still achieve all the goals they had set out. But I'm done talking about Utah being the Big 12 best team. I'm done talking about Big 12 championships. I'm done talking about the playoff until all this stuff gets sorted out and they go out and they play a complete game. They have not played a complete 4 quarters in 5 games.
So the stat that stood out the most to me, and I think if you're Kyle Whittingham, just knowing what he puts a premium on and knowing what his style is, we've watched it. To go for it on fourth down twice, 2 of those times being inside the 5-yard line of Arizona within the first 10 minutes of gameplay. They were 0 for 4 on fourth downs. Like, that is just, they were over 70% before they came into this game. Kyle Whittingham hangs his hat on being tougher than the team across from him, right? So converting a fourth down or 2 every game from 4th and 3, from 4th and 2, has been easy work for this team before. That glaring stat to me was one that you lost the physical battle. Not just bad play calling. It was you didn't win the trenches. So you get stopped on fourth down. One of them was that well-defended pass, right? That slant on the fourth down. And I don't know. I mean, I looked at it a couple times and I went, I don't know if I'm going to put that on Zach. He put it right on his guy.
Look, the
defender was right there.
At some point, it needed to become aware. Like the officials are allowing Arizona to play really physical.
There are a couple calls.
In the pass game,
there were a
right?
couple calls.
So you got to adjust to that, right? You got to adjust to that. Keep that in mind. You also trust that on the other side, you can be just as physical, right?
Yeah.
I'm not sure they were. Too many missed tackles, over pursuing. They just got a lot of stuff to clean up, and I'm coming off probably pretty negative here, but I think Utah fans are frustrated. I think people in that locker room are frustrated, and everybody expects better.
Okay. Got a couple pieces of sound here for you. Let's first go to Kyle Whittingham talking about the offense struggling and the issues that they had. And that was the thing that probably pissed him off the most, was how close they got to scoring and they didn't get anything out of it, not even field goals.
We got to be more efficient there. A couple picks, threw for almost 100 yards more than they did, but theirs were more timely. And again, we left things on the field in the red zone. You can't do that. You just can't do it. I can't say it enough times. And that was the biggest issue that we had, and it's shown up a few times this season now.
That's bad. That's kind of the identity is getting inside the 10-yard line and not converting. That's been a hallmark of what
every
Andy
good Utah
Ludwig
team
The
would
red
exert
zone,
their will at the line of scrimmage.
The red zone was an automatic point scoring situation. Here's what he said about the status for Cam Rising and when they knew that he wasn't going to be able to go.
Really close. So if there is a silver lining here, we got a week off. Hopefully he's ready to go by then.
Hopefully.
That doesn't sound good, does it? Kind of did at the end.
The hopefully is the key word there.
Yeah.
Hopefully he got hurt against Baylor.
Yeah. They got to be sick. They got to be sick of it too, right? The coaching staff's got to be a little bit sick of like what the reality ends up being.
How do you manage this?
Yeah. It's bad. How much do you think they actually know about it? Did they demand transparency this year versus what they got last year, which was
what can they demand? It is what it is.
All right, let's take a listen to what Mekhi Bernard had to say about the game, and that's the guy who, by the way, was probably him and Dorian Singer, bright spots. 16 carries, 91 yards for Mekhi, but the thing that people remember is that getting stuffed at the 2-yard line, which again was just a math problem at the line of scrimmage. Here's what Mekhi Bernard said after the game.
Most definitely execution. We're just not executing well enough. We got the play calls. We just got to go on the field and execute. We're not doing that. I think that's going to be an emphasis for the next few weeks. We're at red zone. It should be emphasis because this is unacceptable for us. We should be up 21-3, and we weren't. So we just got to execute. We're about to go the next 2 weeks and deal with that.
All right, so there you go. That's the guy we get to talk to every week, and we'll talk to him again this week. I'm interested to see what the vibe is like inside that huddle. And then finally, Isaac Wilson, what he had to say about the turnovers. And there's a kid who's, of all the things that he's been learning, I think he does a good job of getting out in front and actually, owning all the stuff.
I know better on those interceptions. I know better. I shouldn't put the team in that situation. I felt like we were driving the ball up and down the field the whole time, run game, pass game, but we needed to execute in the red zone. I could have put the team in a better situation at some points, but it's a team game, so just got to execute.
All right, let's take a break. We'll come back. There was your audio from the University of Utah. We've got more to break down here. Stay with us, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's Cole Bagley of KSLSports.com on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 EKSL Sports Zone. It's, look, we just got through that whole Utah football situation. Left a bad taste in your mouth, maybe. So let's move over to something positive. The hockey team here in Utah is undefeated, JJ.
Yes, they are.
So if you're wondering about
hockey.
yeah, there you go. Cole Bagley, our Utah Hockey Club insider for KSLSports.com, joins us on the program right now. Every time he comes on with us, we'll remind you, guess what? You can win lunch from the KSL Sports Zone on Cafe Rio's Taco Tuesdays. That's tomorrow. Listen every Tuesday, and we'll be giving out a $20 Cafe Rio gift card as well. Learn more about Taco Tuesdays at CafeRio.com. Cole, what's going on, man? We're just getting down to your Christmas, which is October 8th.
Yeah, Santa's coming to town, or I should say the NHL is coming to town next week, which is like, I can't believe that it's here, but the team is doing well in the preseason and things are moving right along in training camp. So yeah, we're right in the thick of it, and we're about to really get started here. So it's very exciting.
3 games into the preseason, what stands out to you so far about this club? It's preseason in all sports are kind of like, whatever. What do you observe and what are you looking for in the preseason in the NHL that tells you something about the team?
Yeah, I think it's like any preseason, but especially for this team this year, it's about seeing how these new names, these new faces fit in. It's been a really good kind of not trial period, but opportunity for Sergachev to assert himself, to show what he's capable of, how he fits in with this roster, and talking to Coach Bear today, he said there's been a lot of progression from Sergachev in just the last couple games, from game 1 to last night, where they were able to dominate Colorado. A lot of that had to do with Sergachev and his ability to create offensively. That's part of why the club went and made sure that they got him, and they were willing to give up some assets to go get him, is because he's not only a great defenseman, but he's a defenseman that can help you create opportunities offensively. He had 2 assists last night, and so orchestrating, demonstrating some really talented offensive skill. So overall, it's just about seeing how are the guys meshing, and then of course it is a actual trial period for some guys. There's a couple players on this roster currently that are battling for a spot, and a couple of those guys are going to be cut. They made more cuts the last few days, so they're down to 36, and they got 13 more to go. So just overall, just a big kind of test it out, try it out period.
As you look at this roster and however it's going to shape up, again, this is one of those things that I think a lot of listeners are getting used to, is just the idea that you draft a bunch of young guys and they're going to stay young in the system for a while. But what are the possibilities of guys like TJ Ginla, Cole Baudouin, guys who get drafted early and have a ton of potential? What's their role going to be early on, and how long until fans can actually see these guys on the ice? Is that going to have to be a 2025 question, or 2026 question, or next season essentially, right? Or is it more of a, hey, maybe by the end of the season we'll see these guys getting some minutes?
Yeah, it's completely dependent on a couple things. I mean, first of all, it's dependent on how good are they right now, and these are 2 really talented players. Both Baudouin and Iginla are very, very talented. The coaching staff has liked what they've seen, but they're not. They weren't guys that went first overall. They're not the Celebrini or the Bedard that are the obvious choice for number 1 and are coming into a situation where they're going to get minutes right out the gate. I mean, Celebrini to San Jose. San Jose was the worst team in the league last year, and with Chicago and Bedard the year before that, pretty much the same situation. Just guys that are without a doubt the best player in the draft and that deserve to be playing in the NHL right away. These 2 players, I don't think Baudouin was already sent back to his junior team. I expect the same thing from Teague. That's not a knock on them at all. I mean, it is a completely normal thing, normal process in the NHL to draft players, and then it takes 2 or 3 years to get them up to speed. I mean, we're seeing that with Dylan Guenther. This is a guy that was drafted in 2021. It's now 2024 going into 25. and he's about to play his first full season with the Utah Hockey Club, a full 82 game slate, and he just earned himself a major contract. So it generally takes a couple years for these guys to get up and running. And then the other thing that it's dependent on is, what's this team doing late in the year? Are they in the playoff hunt? Or are they not in the playoff hunt? The whole reason Josh Doan and a couple other guys saw time last season is because Arizona was out of the race, in March, essentially. So it's dependent on those things. Looking at this year, I don't think we're going to see a Ginla or Baudouin, simply based off the fact that this team is a lot better. They're a very deep team. There's NHL veterans that are battling for spots, and so for recent draftees to get time, I just don't foresee it happening, especially expecting that this team is going to be competing for a playoff spot. Not necessarily guaranteeing a playoff spot, but they should be in that race all year.
The more I observe and watch Andre Tourigny, the more respect I have for him as a coach and a man. You shared a quote on social media today that you observed from during a drill. You said, quote, he said, "Not stopping until they get it right. We're not doing effing summer hockey." And I envisioned him saying that in his French Canadian accent, and I'm just like, this guy's awesome. You've had a lot of time to spend around him. You've observed him coaching. What are your observations about him as a coach and a leader of this team?
I mean, you should have heard him say it, because we were actually at the Delta Center, so it shook the whole building when he said it, and everybody kind of turned, and we're all like, "Oh, he's not kidding." Coach Bear is awesome. He demands respect. He's straightforward. He doesn't beat around the bush. Like, he tells you how it is, and the guys respect him for it. All these guys really appreciate his honesty, because at the end of the day, it helps you. These guys know exactly what they need to do. They know exactly how they need to make the roster, and they know exactly how he expects them to play. He doesn't try to sugarcoat anything. It's straightforward. It's in your face. And every guy that I've talked to about it, they've said that they love Coach Bear. I think, like you said, he's a great person, but he's also a coach. He's a head coach. He knows how to connect with people on and off the ice, and those things are different. And so, he's great. I think he's going to have a big opportunity this season. He's going to be in the Coach of the Year running, just simply based off the fact that this is the best team that he's had an opportunity to coach, and they could be making a huge leap from where they've been the last 4 or 5 seasons in terms of making the playoffs. And so I think, if they're winning 45 plus games and they're making the playoffs, I wouldn't be surprised to see Coach Bear winning the Coach of the Year.
Cole Bagley, our Utah Hockey Club insider for KSLSports.com. Okay, so after the preseason games that you've seen, and
Sure.
Obviously they take a look at a lot of things across the board. You have to prioritize development, and or you have to at least have a balance of your priorities of trying to get your guys ready for the season and trying to get some development going on. And so, what is the thing that maybe we learned out of the preseason so far that's been either eye-opening or something that you looked at and went, you know what, this team may be better than we had thought? We had Bill Armstrong last Thursday on the program, and he's like, yeah, let's look at that kind of 5-year plan. Like, I think we'll be playoff ready in 5 years, and then we're going to be in that window of legitimately being contenders for the Cup. And I thought, well, that's awesome, and that's also 5 years away. So what do we know about this team right now, and how long it's going to take to develop these guys?
Yeah, I think what we're seeing is that they are ready to take kind of that next step, that next phase in the rebuild process. Take the Utah Jazz, for example. They're in phase 1, right? Like, they might be kind of starting to step into like the second half of phase 1, but they're early in that rebuild. The Jazz are, they've acquired draft assets, and they're starting to bring those guys in. The Utah Hockey Club has already completed that phase. I mean, it's still ongoing. They still have more draft picks and whatnot, but the early beginnings of drafting those guys and those guys starting now to develop, that's past. Like, we've got, Dylan Gunther and Logan Cooley and Josh Doan like Tejan Gidla and Baudouin are coming on the tail end of that. So they've found those prospects, and these guys are starting to come into their own. So that's why they went and made some of these trades. Is they went, okay, we're a couple seasons into this. We've got Cooley and we've got Gunther. They're now playing for us. We've got our young talent that's developed out of the draft. We're still going to keep doing that, but now we can take the next step and go and trade for guys that are going to help us win right now and help us step into that next phase of, okay, we're no longer, a bottom tier team. We're moving more into that middle of the pack team, a team that's going to compete every night, that's going to be tough to play and just might surprise you to make the playoffs. And I think that's what we've seen in the preseason. I have to take everything with a grain of salt, of course. Last night, they beat Colorado, and Colorado didn't have any of their star players. They sat all four of them. So take it with a grain of salt. But I liked what I've seen so far because it looks like the next step is underway. With Dylan Gunther scoring 2 goals last night, and Sergachev really coming around after a few games. He seems to be more comfortable. He seems to be more settled in. I mean, the guy had a couple of assists. And so you're seeing kind of the vision of what the front office saw and the potential for this season. And so, I mean, I would expect that maybe this season they start that consistent visit to the playoffs. Maybe this is the year where they're making the playoffs every season for a couple years, and they're losing the first and the second rounds, but they're starting to get that playoff experience. And then maybe 3, 4, 5 years down the road, okay, now we're a team that's consistently considered for the Western Conference, and then a year or two after that, maybe they're a consistent contender for the Stanley Cup. That's kind of where I see it. But whatever Bill says, that guy is. He's very wise. He's very good at his job, and so take what he says. He does a good job.
Cole, we'll see you over at the Delta Center for some, and I'll pay for your $3 hot dog. I might even throw in for a $3 nacho as well. So if you play your cards
I might
right,
just throw it in the trash, but
whatever, dude. Those are.
It's not that personal to you. I just don't know how good a $3 hot dog is really going to be.
Look at where we've gotten. Well, there's a $1.50 hot dog right up the street from me that I love at Costco. So double the price.
Maybe. What they should do is just go buy those and resell them in the arena.
There you go. They make profit.
They bring the Costco hot dog in and resell it.
They'd make money.
Yeah, man. I love it. All right, Cole Bagley, Utah Hockey Club Insider. We appreciate it, man. We'll talk to you again. We're going to chat with you every Monday at 4:30, so thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, I think you and I are going to hang out a whole bunch on Thursday,
yeah,
too.
Man.
There you go.
We're doing the Hockey Roundtable on Thursday down at the shops in Southtown.
Yeah, my goal by the end of that is to completely push JJ out, and it'll be Cole and Alex for both.
Hey, there's a Costco close to that place down in Sandy. I'll get you a $1.50 hot dog.
There you go. And by the way, Cole, I fired myself today, so there's an open position here.
You can't do any worse than that. Come on.
The job is open for, Cole and Alex has a nice ring to it.
There you go. All right, Cole, we'll chat with you on Thursday, man.
Thanks, guys.
There you go. Cole Bagley. We'll take the break here. We'll come back. You're not allowed to fire yourself. We've got important work to do, JJ.
I'm going to pull a Woj.
just start.
I'm done.
Hey, I'm done, and I've taken a new position with UVU.
You know what? Actually, I'm going to do is I'm going to tell you I'm coming to work, and then I'm just going to walk right there to the door and just stand there and watch you do the show with somebody else.
I'll go. Let's open up the phone lines here. If you want to say you want to make peace with how bad JJ was during his time here, I would make up all sorts of lies about you just to get you back on the air to have to deny them. Okay?
There you go.
All right, we'll take the break. We'll come back. We've got ourselves I want to talk more Utah stuff. I've got more Utah things on my mind, okay, that I want to float past.
Let's let it all out today. Let's get it out today so we can filter out the bye week and get fresh for Arizona State.
I'm all for it. Let's get to it. More to go right around the corner. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.
Accessing. When TV and radio collide.
Love it.
Wow. This is what you get. You're listening to JJ and Alex. Presented by G2G Bars.
Don't touch that dial.
On 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
All right, everybody, welcome back. JJ and Alex, 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone. Happy Monday to you. Thanks for being with us. Each week on the KSL Sports Zone, of course, we give away tickets on a Wednesday. We call it a Win Ticket Wednesday because you win tickets on Wednesday. This week, pair of tickets to Breaking Benjamin. It's going to be out at the Utah First Credit Union Amphitheater on October 5th. We better win those and give them away quick because that's going to be this week, man. It's October tomorrow, by the way, JJ.
It is October.
BYU and Utah going into bye weeks this week. Utah State just had their bye week. And we're looking at game number 6 coming up for all of these teams. It's wild. The season goes quickly, and yet there's so much football still yet to be played. Is there a version of this Utah team being a Big 12 championship type team if Cam Rising isn't a part of it?
No.
All right.
No.
Back to you, Jeremy.
What did we just see on Saturday night?
I know, but I'm just saying, is there
You think they're going to get healthier as the season goes along?
It's not about health. It's not about Cam. It's not even.
It's about experience.
But
It's about
also,
guys that have been there and know what they're doing in certain situations. It's situational football, just like Kyle talked about.
What if the defense figures it out, so to speak?
And it's going to keep them in games. I mean, 23 points. They only allowed 23 points to an Arizona team that's really explosive. How many catches and yards did Ted McMillan have?
Oh, it was like 8 for
6 catches, 50 yards.
Yeah.
His long was 13.
They put a hat on him.
They did a great job.
Yeah. What was the Burnett kid,
wasn't
though?
the problem.
What did the Burnett kid
Well,
have?
he got him for 5 catches, 76 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah.
That,
That's
they weren't ready.
pedestrian.
But did he kill him? I mean, should Utah have not been able to score more than 23 points at home?
They didn't. I mean, this was not even. This is an Arizona team that couldn't put up 400 yards in the first half if they want, and they didn't even get to 400 on the night, right? So it's still a good team. I think the 2 giveaways were backbreakers, right? And then the real backbreakers were being stopped at the 3-yard line twice. And once.
Mentally, the first quarter had a big impact on them.
I mean, so that happened to Utah State, what was it, 2 weeks ago at Temple, right?
Yeah.
Where they go inside the 5-yard line twice, don't even get a touchdown, don't even get a field goal.
Utah State's one of the worst red zone teams in the country, by the way. Utah's not as bad as Utah State. They're only 88th in the country.
By the way, they hang their hat on red zone production, and that's why, and on defense, right? So on the flip side,
they are tied for 87th right now, and that includes the first 2 games when they actually did a good job in the red zone.
Right.
They have not been very good the last 3 games.
Yeah. So I just was wondering if there's a version of this team with Isaac Wilson running at the helm, running the offense, if in his freshman season he's able to get them to the Big 12 championship game still. It changes the entire season.
It could happen, sure. I think they've got to have some guys offensively step up, and obviously Mekhi Bernard's got to be a focal point. I don't think Mekhi got enough carries on Saturday night.
No, 16 carries, 91 yards.
Right.
Like, that's over 6 per.
What was his average per? It was
No, it was 5.7 or something like that. It's over whatever Kyle Whittingham. That's more, and it's all stuff that, by the way, BYU fans are like, give us a running back, right? That's what BYU fans saying. And Utah has one, and I don't think they fed him the ball enough. Instead, now you're going to throw the ball more with a freshman quarterback when you're trying to bring it back.
I understand the circumstances. You were down 16-3 at one point. You're probably going to have to throw the ball a lot more. But again, did you need to panic and just throw the ball a lot more?
Yeah.
They should have really tried to pound the ball like right out of the gate, third quarter. Just start running like crazy. They needed to take pressure off of Isaac. And I don't think at any point in that game did they not do that, because Isaac felt pressure throughout the game.
Yeah, he got hit hard
in
a couple times,
a lot of different ways, right?
Even if he wasn't getting sacked, the QB hurries, he'd take hits on.
You got a true freshman quarterback out there, and the stakes are high. This is a Big 12 conference game in the dark. The crowd's going nuts, and I'm sure the environment's great for most players, especially players that run on adrenaline. But when you're a quarterback and you're in that environment, I mean, it can be a little unsettling, even in your own house. And that's why experience matters so much. How many teams out there would feel confident trying to win at a high level with a true freshman quarterback? How many?
Yeah, not many.
Exactly. So why should Utah feel that way? They shouldn't. You need Cam Rising out there if you have Cam Rising. If you don't, then accept that you don't and get Isaac ready every week and really lean on the strengths that you have a senior running back who is carrying you this year. Give him the rock. Take the pressure off. Find ways to take the pressure off your freshman quarterback. Don't put him in tight spots. I respect that they respect his ability. But you saw what's happened when he's going to make mistakes. He's made mistakes in all 3 starts. And that's normal, and that's to be expected, and that's okay.
Right.
But you need to try to minimize those opportunities and lean on your strengths. And right now, offensively, you got a running back who's one of the best in the country. You need to go back to that and go back to who you really are. 40 tosses for a true freshman quarterback in a game like that's too many.
Okay, let's take a break. We'll come back. We've got more. We're going to fire it up here. Hey, speaking of hope springing eternal, it was Jazz Media Day today. So exciting. We've got some sound to hear from the players, some coaches, from some of the front office guys. You got Danny Ainge, you got Will Hardy, some Justin Zanuck sound as well. So let's jump in next hour here. We'll get into Utah Jazz Media Day. By the way, yes, game number 1 of the preseason is on October 4th. That's this week, everybody. Let's go. We'll come back. More to go right around the corner. 97.5 the KSL Sports Zone.